Changes have begun in Chiefs Kingdom. A couple of guys have been let go as they look to cut down to the 80-man mark. Coming up today, we're going to talk about the injuries, the cuts, and what's coming next today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. There are moves that we have to go over, as well as a couple of injuries. Something that snuck up on me that was very important. We're going to get to all that and more today. We do appreciate you being here, listening, and making us your first listen of your day, hopefully. We are part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day for free, and we do appreciate that. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen. I think the draft show is going pretty good. You guys might want to check that out because there's college football starting as well. We have a ton to go over. I'm Ryan Tracy from Rogue Analytics, our Rogue APC, my own website I can't remember, NFL33.com and RGRfootball.com.
And I'm Chris Clark from Chiefs Corner, and you can find me over there talking a lot about preseason and the salary cap. Going to get into analytics when the season starts here shortly. Lots to talk about when we start looking at injuries. We'll talk about that in the second segment. They've got two more moves to make. They did make three moves on Monday. They released Brandon Dandridge, a corner, Nasir Greer, and David Steinmetz. So a corner, a safety, and an offensive lineman. They've got two more moves to make to get to that number of 80 by 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock Arrowhead time on Tuesday.
Yeah. I think what stands out to me is that for both of these DBs, they made plays in these two preseason games, both of them. And on any other team, you might have a shot to work your way up the depth chart, or maybe even look at cracking the top 5 and making a roster. On this roster, that is not the case because, yes, you made a couple of plays, but there are too many guys, and specifically too many young guys in front of you. And so it just didn't work out. I think Dandridge, I thought, put a good step forward. I thought Greer as well. Obviously, that was a blitz play that was his kind of big play that I don't know that every team's going to find a use for him in the same fashion. But I think both of these guys are candidates to probably land at the very least on a practice squad somewhere, if not in Kansas City. But somebody else might pick them up for their roster as well. Yeah,
and you have to wonder if this is why they're releasing them now, to give them a chance to go to another roster before the season starts. So I do agree with you. I think Dandridge was a guy that I think maybe in the past seasons could have maybe made the 53-man roster in Kansas City. Obviously, that's not going to be the case at corner this year, and that's a good thing for Kansas City. And then Greer, I mean, yeah, a great blitz, but there's just not going to be any. I don't think they're keeping 5 safeties this year, and that's really the only way he could have made it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they have the fortitude to like take a chance like that, because I think you got to keep 6 corners. And I don't think as a positional group, as a unit, I don't think you can go over 10 guys in the secondary. So that really puts the limit on it.
Yeah, and if they keep 6 corners, that'll surprise me too. But with all the ones that they drafted, I guess it wouldn't be a complete shocker.
Right. I mean, right now you're looking at depth down to the top 3, including Fenton if he's healthy. But then you have Josh Williams, who I think has carved out his role as the next guy off the bench. And I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think that Jalen Watson has earned himself onto this roster. And then it becomes a question of, want to keep a nickel like Nazi? Do you want to keep somebody else that's giving you some reps? I'd have thought maybe Dandridge was in that conversation, but evidently not.
Well, and Lamons is a guy that they really liked on special teams last year, and they kept 6 corners last year just to keep him because they think that they would have lost him. So that's another direction that they could go if they keep 6. He's been a core special teams guy for this team, so it wouldn't shock me. But with as many corners as they drafted, if they don't keep Johnson, I expect Johnson back on the practice squad unless he gets picked up elsewhere, obviously. But I would not be shocked if they keep 5. Well, if they keep Watson and Williams on that 5, which 2 months ago would have seemed ludicrous, I guess.
Right. I'll tell you this.
I have the guy they brought in from Houston and Baker.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you this. I have some concerns about Lamons, however we're supposed to say that now, about his availability. He is going to face some disciplinary action from what happened in the offseason. I don't know how significant it's going to be, but that is part of the risk. And unfortunately, unlike last year, that is part of the equation here of whether he makes it or not. The question is, I think DiCaprio Bootle is the guy that's probably battling with him for that 6th spot. And I don't know if we've seen enough from Bootle to make that determination yet.
And the bigger question is being that 6th corner, is he going to be somebody that can actually step in and be that, that core special teams guy? Because that's what's going to put them on the roster. Yeah. They're not going to keep 6 corners unless one of them is fantastic at special teams. It's just the way that the roster is going to shake out. They need that guy. And if Bootle can be that guy, okay, great. But they're not going to be looking necessarily near as much at, can he produce as this CB on this team unless you have an injury issue with Fenton, which you may. We still don't know.
Yeah, let's cross our fingers that that's not the way that it goes down, because that would be a pretty sizable road bump in my estimation. I mean, it can't be. It's not that it can't be overcome, but it's something you can't replace. Experience goes so far that I think that does put something that I'd be concerned about. So let's hope that he gets his health back. And, we have to talk about not just who's not on the roster any longer, but what the injuries are that are going to curtail the roster and the availability to make this final evaluation here in Game 3. That's coming up next. But I got to tell you, a way to get your health back in line, unlike Rashad Fenton, I don't know that AG1 is going to help him, but if you want to give it a shot, Athletic Greens and their product AG1 is certainly a good way to do it. I started taking this when they first came on board as one of our sponsors a couple months back. And it's super simple. It makes your life easy to get all the vitamins, the minerals, the 75 high quality minerals and whole foods, super source superfoods, the probiotics, all the adaptogens, and get it all easy and get your dose of greens for a day. It's 1 scoop in 1 cup of water. I take it with my coffee. It makes life easy. It's like 2 drinks, go down to the office, get started, because there's film to watch or there's work to do at the day job or there's work to do here. It makes things super smooth. And it gives you all that nutrition to help not just your gut health, but your energy levels, as well as all the things like the immune benefits that you get, because it all goes in together. And at the end of the day, protecting your health is something that you want to do just so that it allows you to keep doing what you're doing. It's less than that cup of coffee. And that goes a long way as well. I do want to point that out, that it's not one of those high price kind of bank of pills that you have to take for your supplements. It makes things easy. And right now they're making it even easier to reclaim your health and help your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. Like I said, 1 scoop in 1 cup, and it makes it simple. No need to go any deeper than that. And to make it easy, they're going to give you 1 free year of a supply of the immune-supporting vitamin D supplement that they make, as well as buy a free travel package and make it easy to go on the go with your Athletic Greens. All you got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. That's athleticgreens.com/NFL Network, and take ownership of your health and pick up a nice immune boost for your nutritional insurance today. Unfortunately, injuries happen, and they did happen too. And the curious case of something that I missed pre-game, had a lot of family sports and stuff going on Friday night. I don't know if they made an announcement or whatever, but it is an Achilles issue for Carlos Dunlap, the new defensive end that they just recently signed, who I felt had been getting up to speed and I had hoped to see, and then he didn't play. I was taken aback, but again, I might have been outside the loop in terms of the news there that particular evening. So did it surprise you, and how concerned are you with it?
Well, I think it's a big concern. Achilles is something that's something that could last all season long, and it's going to have to be something that they're going to have to watch, and they're going to have to try to figure out, what's the likelihood that something's going to happen with it. Because obviously 1 false move and it's popped and you're gone for quite a while, and could end his career. And I'm not saying it's normally a career ender, but with his age, whether or not he could actually get the full explosion back that he uses and his speed and his lateral ability, all of that is going to be called into question at his age. So something that they'll have to be careful with. And I am concerned. I think you're also looking at a position where Kansas City doesn't have a ton of depth. The nice thing is that Karlaftis has played well. He's shown well. So I think that helps a little bit and it makes you feel better about it. But still wanted Dunlap to play and expect him to be a guy that could be taking over, a good, decent portion of the rotation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I think, the key is if you need to press George Karlaftis into starting the beginning of the season, when they'd probably plan to wait a little bit till he's in that starting role, That can be done, but it does put more pressure on the kid. And it does expose him to a little bit more of, especially the more complex, the traps and the things that they're going to do specifically because he hasn't been there before. That's all well and good. You can live with it. But I think it is about being on the field with Carlos and getting his perspective and getting that in combination with what Frank Clark is giving him in terms of mentorship, of extra ideas. We've already seen some evolution from George Karlaftis, and I'm pretty excited about that fact. But it does have to continue, and I think Carlos Dunlap is going to be a piece of that.
Yeah, definitely should be a piece of that, and I do think that looking forward, if he's not able to play the first couple of weeks, that's going to be concerning. Obviously, you really wish you could have him against the Chargers in week 2. Not to ignore the Cardinals game, but it's not near as important as that game is week 2 against the Chargers at home. So, that's going to be something to watch. But then you start thinking about the rest of the season and how it's going to play out. 17 games. Frank Clark hasn't stayed healthy. That's going to be a large concern going into this season is, can he stay healthy? Can he play 17 games? Is he going to be able to produce like what you are paying him for? So lots of questions when it comes to the defensive end position. And I really wonder if there's any kind of move that Kansas City can make and try to free up some cap space and maybe go make a trade for somebody, because right now that defensive end position is going to be very questionable going into the season.
Let me ask you this. If they were going to make a trade, would you prioritize trying to get more edge rush help or a swing tackle?
That's tough. I understand where you're going with the swing tackle, and I get it. They're going to know more about where Niang is than we do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have a better idea as to where he is in that regard. I still think D-end is probably the position I would go, mainly because the defense is going to be very hard to be successful if they can't get any pass rush. And they're one injury away from being in a situation where you have Mike Dana as one of your starters. And while I like Dana as a player, he's not much of a pass rusher. He can do pass rush, but it's not near what you really want from a starting level D-end in this league.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think Mike's made some progress. I'm not trying to detract from that. But
I agree completely. I'm just saying he's just not that guy.
Right. And I will say this. I think they do need to keep 5, and I think that 5th is Malik Herring right now after his last performance in this last ball game. But again, while I like his handwork and I think he's playing with good functional strength, he doesn't have the explosive get-off that he had in college. It's not back yet. It's very much, in my mind, he's very much on the Juan Thornhill timeline, except he didn't get to finish his rookie year. He's that far back in terms of year 2. But I do see that could become a thing. And so if he is there, I think that would press him into playing time as well. And maybe that's not the greatest thing either.
Yeah. Well, and that's just a position that's going to be very hard to improve. Honestly, any time of year, draft-wise, it's going to be hard unless you have a high draft pick or unless you hit somebody that ends up being more than what you expected they could be. Karlaftis may end up being that for Kansas City, even though they got him at the end of the first round. A lot of people love that pick for Kansas City and think he's going to be one of the best guys in the first round. We'll see what he can do, but he still needs somebody across from him. And with Frank Clark's inability to stay healthy, it's a big question as to how that's going to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not the only one that is unhealthy right now, and it is foreshadowing what it's going to look like. We'll get to that after this.
As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. If you've ever been out there looking for a job, LinkedIn is probably one of those places that you went and looked because your friends always have jobs that they are talking about and that they love. Be sure to check out LinkedIn Jobs. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. A lot more injuries to talk about, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is that time of year, and I think it does accelerate towards the end of camp. And what we did find out vicariously is that some inquiries have been made about a tight end of being available, a trade, quote, we'll see what happens, kind of, is there a cut down? But that does tell me that this injury to Blake Bell, while it has not been dealt with yet, seems to be on the more significant side, and that they may be looking at IRing him and losing him for the season.
Yep. And if that happens, and the key to watch with Blake Bell, if he is not on the 53-man roster on cutdown day, he cannot be brought back. That is the key. If he is cut or if he's placed on IR that day, he is done for the year. When I saw that injury, it looked pretty scary. It was more of a non-contact injury, and he just basically crumpled to the ground. Hoping I'm wrong, hoping he's not out for the entire season, but it's sure looking that way, the way that Kansas City looks to be looking at other tight ends.
Agreed. And, there are going to be some cut down options. But the fact that they feel that need to go out tells me that, my guy Bushman is not living up to specs either. So it doesn't look like he's going to be an option for them to keep. But they do seem to want 4 because they certainly have serviceable guys at 2 and 3 with Jody Fortson and Noah Gray. And so
but they don't. The problem that they have is they don't really have that blocking type.
Right.
I mean, they could use Burton in that role, which I'm kind of surprised that they haven't considered going that direction. I think that would make more sense than going out and getting a 4th tight end. But the guy you're going to be getting and trying to trade for is not going to be the prototypical tight end that you would think you'd be wanting to go and get.
Yeah, he's more. I think at best they're going to be able to get an all around. Quite frankly, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. I think there's going to be several guys that I would just double down and let Mike Burton block and see how it comes in. I mean, pull Allegretti in and run a 6 offensive lineman if you really need to. I'd rather go get somebody who can be a weapon. And one name I'm going to point out to you guys is Connor Tanner. I always do that. From Idaho State. He's playing in Miami, doing a pretty good job, but he's stuck behind a couple of guys. I'm not sure he's going to make the roster. He is one of my highest upside guys from the athletic matrix in this last draft, and I do think he's going to be available. He'd be a guy that adds to the athleticism of Fortson and Gray, and I think would be significant, but you would have to abandon that, hey, let's try to run block thing.
Right. And that's going to be what they're basically looking for, or at least what Bell would bring to the team. So something to watch there. Juju didn't practice again on Monday with his knee injury. Not sure if he'll make it back to practice this week. Do not expect him for week 3, this game on Thursday, unless something changes later this week. Rashad Fenton with a groin injury. Didn't sound like it was going to be significant, that he's going to miss significant time. So maybe he's back for week 1. I, again, don't expect he's going to play this week. Derek Gore didn't practice with a thumb injury. That's kind of new, but I don't think that's going to keep him out of the 3rd preseason game. Maybe I'm wrong.
Nah, running back fighting for his life. You can play with the club if you have to.
Exactly. And Chris Jones and McCole Hardman did do some kind of work on Monday, so that's something to note. Oh, and just to clarify, Andy Reid did say that right after the game on Saturday that the only injury was Fenton. It tightened up. He did not pull it, so shouldn't be a significant time.
Cross your fingers, toes, and everything else you can come up with there, Rashad. Yeah, I hope that's the way that it works out. We'll see. That did not look like a guy who felt that he could get off the field on his own power. That's pretty significant. So let's hope that comes around. At least it wasn't the shoulder. So knock on wood that he's all right there.
But he did walk up the tunnel. I mean, he didn't get carted up the tunnel. He walked up the tunnel. So, I mean, that's a good sign. He was able to put some weight on it at some point afterwards. So that's good going forward. Obviously, maybe he's not available week 1. Maybe they save him for week 2. I don't know what that's going to turn out to be, but something to watch going forward. The nice thing is Kansas City has shown that they have corners that I think that can play in this league. Yeah, you're not going to like having Joshua Williams out there and having him be a starter week 1.
Right.
You might not have a choice.
It's Rashad or 2 rookies is what it is. And that's what's getting a little scary. Yeah.
Right.
So,
but I will say this, like, if the sooner that Williams plays, the better he's going to be, quicker. And I think that he's going to show that he's able to play in this league and could be a guy that maybe he's going to be a starter for them in a couple of years, or maybe even next year. We'll have to see.
Could be. We'll have to give that a shot. I'm
his height and length, I think, is really intriguing.
Yeah, there's a lot to be desired there. So let's see if you can forge that into something that makes sense. A lot more to come, folks. They are practicing. Obviously, it's a short week. They're going to play early this week, and tomorrow we should have news on who the other two cuts to get down to the 80 mark, which they have to do by, I believe it's 3 p.m. on Tuesday.
Three arrow time.
Yep, we will have that information for you tomorrow night. We'll definitely get ready for that ball game. And then it's down to the 53 the following Tuesday. So there's a lot to be done. Chiefs actually have a pretty good lead in playing early. You can try to make those deals, those last minute, hey, we might cut this guy, but we might trade this guy kind of maneuvers. We'll give you more information about that when we talk to Matt Derrick later in the week as well. So thanks for your time. Thanks for liking and subbing that you guys have been joining the YouTube sensation left and right. We really appreciate that. And thank you for your iTunes and your Spotify reviews. I forgot it's not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Podcasts. Sorry, Apple. Whatever. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for your time. We'll talk to you tomorrow.